Hey, my pups. Let's check out Through the Darkest of Times and see what we think of it. Follow me on twitch.tv Okami Riku for live streams and the PAX Hunt on both Twitter and Instagram. Hello, my lovely pups. So what we're going to be talking about today is Through the Darkest of Times. This is a very in-depth game that goes through the experience of the resistance during World War II. I'm not going to go too deep into the story because it literally speaks for itself, and what it does, what it's about. Most of us have taken history. We know a lot about World War II, but this is like the other side of it, and that's, what the resistance did, how secretive they were, the stuff that they experienced, because you have interactions with some of the Nazis, and they, what they say, what they do. This game does really well going into those deep details. They do show a lot of the dark side, but they do refrain a little bit. Like, they walk a fine line where, like, they show the dark side without showing too far into the dark side, if that makes sense. But the way that they work the story in this game is phenomenal. It makes you want to move forward, find out what happened, do your best as someone in the resistance who is trying to help the people around them. I can't say anything negative about the story, and I love how rich and deep it is, which is why it gets a 2 out of 2. I just don't want to go into severe detail of it because it really explains itself. So I'm giving you the gist of it and what it entails. As always, our second mechanic for review is the mechanics of the game, which includes mechanics plus accessibility, which covers the controls and how it works and things along those lines. Unfortunately for this game, it did get a 1 out of 2, and that's because the controls overall aren't hard, but they don't have controller support. Excuse my dog if you hear him growling in the background. For some reason, he's being a little growly today. But they don't have controller support or any other accessibility options for people with disabilities. So we all know that that is a major thing for me, and I advocate for games to have accessibility options because we're in 2020. It's not hard to make almost any type of game have controller support or colorblind mode or other options that are for people with disability issues or accessibility issues, so that way they can enjoy the game just like everybody else. So that's why it gets a 1 out of 2 for the mechanics. For direction, that category also got a 1 out of 2 because we all know where the game is going. It's during World War II, and you're part of the resistance, so you're trying to help people who are being targeted and hated for who they are and things along those lines. But if you walk away for a long stint and you come back, there's nothing that says, hey, go do this. Like a lot of games where you have like a quest list or anything like that. Basically, the whole map is supposed to help you for your goal, but it doesn't point you towards like, hey, this is technically the main objective. You should go here, but here's a whole bunch of other side stuff you can do to help your cause. They don't do that. And that's kind of bad for people who have memory problems like me. I came back to it after playing it once and then going off and doing some other stuff and being sick. I came back to it, and I was like, crap, where was I going? And without that guidance, it's hard for someone with memory problems, and even, you know, some people with good memory, if they haven't played the game in, you know, 6 months like I haven't because I was sick for, you know, 6 months. Even some people without memory problems would probably have an issue with that. But it's just that the guidance for the direction isn't 100% there in case you do have to take a long break from the game. So that's why I guess a 1 out of 2. The flow gets a 2 out of 2 because everything in the game, even though the direction is lacking, every option you choose in the game benefits the end of the game. So no matter if you're putting one of your resistance members into hiding because they get seen during an operation, or if you're talking to someone to raise funds, or if you're talking to someone to recruit a member, it's all going towards the same goal. So no matter what you do in the game, you're at least flowing towards your final goal in the game, which is the point of flow. Does it flow? Does it smoothly go into each other? Is it choppy or not? Or is it cohesive? This game is cohesive because everything flows into each other. You have to have money to go to your final goal, so you have to do some of the side missions that give you money, things along those lines. So flow did get 2 out of 2. Our last category, as always, is cost per playtime. So, as we all know, I prefer to have games that are $1 or less per playtime. Now, Through the Darkest of Times is $15 on Steam. Technically $14.99, but I round up to $15. It has multiple ways of doing things because all of your actions have consequences and reactions. So if you play the game 2 different times and you choose different options, different operatives, because you actually have to pick 3 people for your different... When you recruit people, you have an option of 3 people, you can only choose 1. So there's always a chance to have a different reaction or process to your options. So there's always different outcomes, which means that if you play it more than once, it's going to go different ways. It has more than 15 hours of gameplay, so it does get a 2 out of 2 for cost per playtime, since it meets that requirement of $1 or less per playtime. So that means that the total for Through the Darkest of Times is an 8 out of 10. To me, it's a great game to pick up. It brings us an interesting kind of roguelike scenario of World War II, and you get to play for the resistance in opposition and see how the people went through those struggles, what they had to do, and how it all worked out. And to me, that's what makes it a really good game to pick up. So with that said, if you have any questions or concerns, you can leave a comment below. As I've stated before, right now I'm doing reviews of games that I've been playing, and then once I finish up Persona 5 playthrough, we'll move into doing some Let's Plays of these titles, so that way you guys can actually see the games in action, and if you have any other questions or concerns about the games, we could address it there. So you'll eventually see a playthrough of Through the Darkest of Times. Until then, I hope you guys stay happy, healthy, and as always, Howlsome, my lovely pups, and I will see you next time.